And the first question that I have here is, how do I shop samples in FL Studio? So this is very important for, I would say, probably hip-hop producers, but you can also do this with pretty much any genre. I've seen house producers, techno producers. I've seen funk producers. I've seen a lot of even pop producers making music with samples. So it's not just something related to hip hop and rap, but it's something that you can use pretty much in every genre. And I think I actually heard some producer. I think it was what was his name? From Busy Work Beats, and it's a huge producer channel. And one of the things that he said, and I agree, I totally agree. He said that sampling or using samples is one of the highest degrees in music production. So whenever you start to use samples, you have to have a very high degree of understanding of DAWs and how to work with sound and audio, because it's very complex. It can become very complex. If you are trying to match different sources of samples, it's way harder than to just load a bunch of synths and start making music, because in that sense, you just have to use the same scale or the same notes, and you will have a more harmonious track, or you will get a finished product easier. But if you are working with samples, you have to take the samples, figure out which note the samples are, and try to match the samples to each other. So that can become really, really hard. And even me, sometimes I have a lot of experience with music production and making beats and stuff. And even for me, sometimes it's hard to figure out that. So I don't have the most tuned ear, but it can be very hard to figure out the pitch of the samples or the notes of the samples and try to match them. But at the same time, it's really possible. And we have a bunch of tools here in FL Studio that I'm going to show you that we can use to try to find the pitch of the samples and try to get the best out of that. So let's jump into FL Studio so that I can show you what how to shop samples and how to work with samples in FL Studio. So we are here in FL Studio. Let me make this a little bit shorter. Let me see if I can move this. Yeah, so probably that's better. Okay, let's open up my side panel here, my library, and let's go with some packs here that we have. And we have here some loops. So there are several ways to do this or to go about this. We can shop samples in the playlist. So let's say that I have these, let me put a small volume or speed, BPM. Let's say that I have this sample that I like, and I would like to have just the clap or the snare. I could bring it here and then select only that part. So I would have to go here to the snap settings, put this in step mode, and probably this snap. Maybe this one would be the best one. So I would have to cut there and there and just use this sound here. So this is one of the ways that you can shop stuff. Okay. And let's say that I want to combine that with this kick here. So let's bring the kick in a different way. So the first wave was to drag and drop the sound into the playlist. But one other way that I can also do, which I think it gives us a little bit more flexibility, is by right-clicking here and using Open in SliceX channel. So if I do this, you will see that a SliceX channel just popped up, and it has the same representation as the file when I dragged it here into the playlist. You can see there this white or this yellow triangle right there at the top. Is kind of hard to show you, maybe there on the left. And I hope you can see it. And you can see those are markers. And we have these loops here very well marked. And we have kick, hi-hat, snare, and this kick. So this was actually the kick that I wanted. So how do I use this kick to put it here in the playlist? So the first thing that I have to do is to bring up a pattern. So let's drag and drop this pattern here. And as you can see, it already has notes. So if I go to the channel rack here, if I open this up, it tells me that I already have all the sounds here laid out in the sequence of the loop. So if I play this, you hear that we have both the snare and this loop. So let's say that I want to use this loop, but no snares here. So let's remove the snares where I have in the playlist here, you see that I have the snare from the other loop. And now if I play this, you see that now it plays both things. So I could still rearrange this and just use, for instance, the kick. Let's do that in pattern 2. Let's remove that. Let's put pattern 2 here. And let's say that I want to make my own loop with the kick. So I can do this, and let's copy this, so for simplicity. So this is one way. And this is to work with drums. So to work with drums is very simple and it's very powerful. It's one of the things that I like the most to do here in FL Studio is to work with drums, but we can also work with samples, and samples is very, very important also. And I would say loops is the easiest to work with, but let's go here, for instance, to dailybeats.pt, and let's go to one of the construction kits that I have here. So let's see, what do I have? Let's bring up some samples. Let's see if I find something that I like. That could work. I don't know about that one. Okay, let's use this one. I like this one. So let's bring this into Slice X, and you see that it chops already the samples, and we have this long list of nodes. So let's Control A and let's delete this. And now we can go ahead and play the notes that we want. And you can see sometimes it gives us 2 notes here. So this note alone, it doesn't work that much. So what I like to do is take auto dump, and now I can delete that marker. And you now see that it plays the entire note. So it's a helpful way to organize your samples or your markers in Slice X. And for instance, these ones here, I would probably just use something like this. So remove all of this and just leave this one. This is actually a sound that I would use more than the other one. So sometimes you need also to rearrange the markers so that you get the best sound. So what the good thing about this is that now we can pitch things up. And now you get a more sample vibe. So let's put this. It's important that you also put the samples in the correct sense. If you are using just samples from other DAWs or from other producers, usually you want to go by cents, not by 250 or something like that, because that makes your life harder when you want to add some other sounds, some other instruments. So let's go and let's put this one here. Let's make this here. And what was the other one? Let's make this one also. Let's just do a simple loop just to make this so that we can have something to work with. And maybe we can also let's use this one here as variation. And maybe we can even Yeah, we can do something like that. Just this is just an example. Okay, so let's say I have this sample. Actually, this was too much, but let's keep it like that. Let's say I have this sample. It's just basic, just to give you the example. Let's say now that I want to add a bass. But I could even go two routes. Let's bring 3x oscillator. I can go this route and try to find the pitch. Actually, in this case, F sharp sounds nice. Let's try another one. This doesn't sound good. This one could also work, which is A. So we all know that probably we are working in F sharp. So let's go here. Oops, let's go to piano roll. And let's move this to F sharp. So let's go here, scale highlightings, F sharp. And you see already that this scale works. So it should be F sharp. Actually, this one here, which is D sharp, doesn't work, at least in this case. Let's see here at the end. No, yeah, D sharp doesn't work, but this, as you can see, is actually a good example. Let me see if A works. Actually, A does work. And I could now bring this down. Even another one. As you can see, we could do it this way by ear. And it's also a good thing to train your ear to learn how to do this. Or you can also go, let's say that we want to get the notes from this. I would put this in channel, let's say channel 1, and then I would bring here waves tuner. So let's go with tuner, and this can also gives us some of the notes. Let me see which notes we have here. Okay, let's see this one. Maybe I have to play this. You saw there F sharp. Now we have the. Let's increase the reactivity. You see it goes now to F sharp. So it varies between F sharp and D3. So let's see the notes that we have. We have F sharp and actually D sharp. It was D sharp or D? Okay, D. So let's see. It was F sharp. And let's see if this one is D. I have to enable this. Okay, that works. And you can see that this is actually a good thing. So we could actually have or figure out the notes of the sample. Just using this tuner here, and you can increase the reactivity to check the pitch of the sample. So this is how you can very easily figure out the notes or the pitch of your samples, and it's very important to keep to be in the same note as the sample, otherwise it sounds a little bit off. And let me show you what I mean. So I said to go in scales of 100 cents. Let's say that I chose 550. Now let's listen. You see, it sounds awful, and there's nothing here. If I could go one down, still would sound terrible. So the solution would be to go here, to go to 3x oscillator and move these, for instance, let me put 1 and move this 50. Even then, it sounds a little bit off. which messing here with the pitch is not the best solution. So I would say to just go in increments of 100 if you know that the sample has the correct pitch. Otherwise, you might need intermediate values, sorry. But I would say in most cases you don't need. So it's always good to go in 100 cents steps. And that's it. That's how you can chop samples and play around with it. We can also go low. Instead of plus 600, we can go minus 600 to make it a little bit darker. As you can see, this also sounds really cool. But yeah, that's basically it. I would recommend to use SliceX. There's no other tool that I use to chop samples. There's some other tools here. For instance, there's the where is Fruity Slicer, but I don't think it doesn't give me the same functionality that SliceX gives me. So I prefer to go with the highest possible feature set, and that is with SliceX. So I think that's the best one, and that's the one that I use. Gives me a lot of flexibility when it comes to dealing with samples. So that's how I would chop samples in FL Studio.